We told you here on Fox 10 News, breaking news from downtown Mobile. A guilty verdict returned about an hour ago in the murder trial of Brandon Estle. The jury determined that Estle killed his one-time friend Justin Hasty back in October 2012.
Fox 10 News reporter Steve Alexander has been following the trial since the beginning. He's joining us live from Government Plaza with the latest. Steve?
And the jury took a little less than 2 hours before finding Brandon Estle guilty. Estle showed no emotion. There was a very quiet courtroom, as a matter of fact, after the verdict was announced. District Attorney Ashley Rich joins me. What can you say after a case like this?
There are no winners here. There are no winners. Of course, the jury did return a verdict of guilty of murder, and that is what we were asking the jury to do. They looked at and carefully evaluated all of the evidence, and they did find Brandon Estle guilty of murder.
You said something outside the courtroom, too, that as a parent, and you're a parent,
sure,
you can raise a child, but you can't always be responsible for everything they do or control, I guess, everything they do.
Well, I said in closing arguments today in front of the jury that both of these families were great families. The defendant's family, Doug Estle, fine man, member of this community, and his mother, Lisa, as well as the victim's family, Mr. and Miss Hasty. They were all good people. But at some point, you cannot control what your children or your kids do. These were young men in the prime of their life, in their 20s, and the parents couldn't control what they were doing, and they were involved in drugs, and I don't think we would be here today but for the drugs. And
last thing, that's what I was going to say. Judge Graddick said something very moving. He said, we would not be here if it were not for the scourge of drugs. Absolutely, absolutely, and unfortunately we've lost a very, very good member of this community in the prime of his life, a young man who had his whole life ahead of him because of drugs. Thank you very much, Mr. Rich. Appreciate it. Ashley Rich, District Attorney. Sentencing is scheduled for August. I believe it's August 13th at 8:30 in the morning. He could get 20 years. Estle to life in prison. The recommendation of the District Attorney, the prosecutor, will be life in prison. Again, that sentence will be handed down on August 13th. Once again, Brandon Estle found guilty of murder in the beating death of Justin Hasty. We'll have much more coming up tonight at 9 o'clock. Reporting live from Government Plaza, Steve Alexander, Fox 10 News.